Now, there is something very, talking from mince to fish, there is something very fishy in Queensland politics. Something is starting to stink. First, Integrity Commissioner Nikola Stepanov was outraged when someone from Queensland's Public Service Commission took a laptop from her office and deleted its contents without her knowledge or consent, for reasons we're still not told. That's bizarre. Now, Stepanov has now quit and is demanding an inquiry into political interference. She now says that Queensland's Premier Annastacia Palaszczuk referred her, Stepanov, last year to a parliamentary committee over confidential matters, hoping to get Stepanov dumped. Well, Palaszczuk today denies she wanted Stepanov sacked, but does say she wanted her investigated, something the Premier takes extremely seriously. But again, will not say what. And that's not all. Another former public servant has also accused Palaszczuk's office of political interference. This time it's Mike Summerall. He was the state archivist until he quit, apparently in protest. Last year he wanted to find the resignation letter of Palaszczuk's chief of staff, David Barbagallo, who was accused of getting $250,000 from the government to build an app, without revealing he was the co-owner of the company that got the contract. Very strange, Summerall found he could not find that resignation letter anywhere, and he blamed staff in the Premier's office. The Premier today seemed very snappy when asked about all this.
Please don't make stuff up. Please don't make things up. We'll quote. Okay, we'll quote. What did he say? I think you need to get your facts correct. With all due respect, please get your facts correct. Don't just throw things. So a journalist raises an issue and therefore that issue is fact.
What's going on here seems as clear as mud. Let's see if Campbell Newman can clear it up. Campbell Newman was a Liberal National Party Premier of Queensland, is now running for the Senate for the Liberal Democrats. Campbell, great to catch up again, but here we've got two scandals, two allegations of political interference, just in the broad for a start. How serious are they?
I think they're very serious, Andrew, because in the first instance that you raised with the Integrity Commissioner, a laptop that had its alleged information about some potential impropriety was removed without the consent of the Integrity Commissioner by someone it's believed or alleged to be in the Public Service Commission, and that laptop was then wiped. Then we also then get an allegation by the Integrity Commissioner, who's left, that the Premier sought to have her removed from office. Didn't like the way things were being conducted in that office, perhaps. Then you have the state archivist issue, where it's not just what you just raised before about a letter of resignation. It's about adverse commentary that the state archivist has made about the way that Palaszczuk government ministers were using private emails for official business. And I mean, the law is very strict on this stuff. You can't do that. They are official records. Even if you're using, a personal device and a personal email, those emails, if they're on official business, they are public records, and the people of Queensland are entitled to ultimately have access to them through measures like right to information.
Now, it's all very mysterious. Go first to that Integrity Commissioner's laptop being grabbed and wiped clean without her consent. Why would the Premier want her investigated, do you think? And why haven't voters been told why?
Well, that's the thing, I guess. You've got a Premier who's reacting and saying that what the journalists are putting to her are sort of incorrect assertions, and she was quite shrill today. The problem for the journos is they're trying to find out actually what's going on, but this Premier won't actually answer the questions. I need to refer as well to this inquiry that she set up this week, which is into the Crime and Corruption Commission. So just to be very clear, we've talked about the archivist issue and the spray that he's given the Premier. And by the way, he has then said publicly, "Look, I'm not an LNP stooge. I voted Labor and Greens all my life," but he couldn't take it anymore. The interference and the coercion that he was getting from Palaszczuk government ministers and officials. Then you have the Integrity Commissioner issue, we've also got a Crime and Corruption Commission which has been botching investigations and prosecutions, for example, of the Logan councillors in Brisbane, or Mayor Alan Sutherland, who's been exonerated. And the Crime and Corruption Commission hasn't been doing its job, in my opinion. I mean, the Premier a few years ago stood up in Parliament and threatened Robbie Katter and the Katter Australia Party that if they didn't do something, it was to do with some statements of a member, that she would remove their resources. That's a breach of the Criminal Code of Queensland. The Crime and Corruption Commission found that it was technically a breach, but then they said, oh, we can't do anything about it. I mean, so the Crime and Corruption Commission are being investigated by Fitzgerald, and the Premier is trying to pretend that that is somehow going to deal with all these integrity issues. A Premier who allows RTI requests to be answered by political hacks rather than independent public servants, who won't sack any ministers for failing to meet breach.
We have done that a couple of times. The crime and corruption issue we have done a couple of times last year in particular. I think we might have talked to you about it too. Yes, and the official there has quit. I mean, they were making wild allegations against all sorts of councillors, some career-ending, even though councillors turned out to be innocent. I mean, it was just something is going wrong there, and it all goes up to the top. They're responsible in the end. Campbell Newman, I'm sorry, I've run out of time, but I thank you again for your time. Thank you so much.